And I want to emphasize here that those 73 million came from the national budget. So the insurance policy we have been offering, we're covering over 500 million of cumulative insurance coverage. And we have seen that there is a growing appetite of, we cannot do our work without global insurance, because we absorb some of the risk and then we transfer other risk to the global insurance. And we have been seeing that there is a growing interest in the global reinsurance. So in the pool one, we have only 8 reinsurers, and then recently in the pool 4, there is a 24 reinsurance that have shown interest in the products that we are offering to countries. And then finally, when an event triggers a payment, we have to make sure on our accountability. So there is an exercise that we have to conduct after the affected population have received whatever they are supposed to receive. So we conduct an evaluation and to see if the system, the contingency planning, have properly worked out. So, the concept is new, and for sure we have a number of challenges. I just want to emphasize some of them. Insurance cannot be a panacea to all the risk. Definitely not. So we have to manage expectation coming from the country. For example, a risk, an insurance cannot respond to a risk that is high frequency and a lower impact. An insurance cannot do that. And also a very huge risk, we cannot cover that. And some other challenges is fiscal constraints. When poor countries, there is a conflicting priorities, the wrong priorities. Security, at a certain time, Niger was an active member, but because of the security threats in many of its borders, it couldn't be possible for the country to continue paying the premium. There is also inadequate policies that cannot accommodate the insurance. But for that specific challenge, we have been working with the countries to revisit the insurance regulation to accommodate a parametric insurance, because in our product we use parametric index insurance. So this is in this month of September, Senegal, because of the bad distribution of rainfall that triggered the payment, Senegal is going to receive 22 million as a payout. So among those 22, 10 will be going to the government of Senegal, which brought a policy to us, but also the humanitarian actors buy also insurance to us. So the 12 million will be going to the humanitarian actors that bought insurance to us. Thank you very much. I will be very glad to respond to any question.
Thank you, Jean-Claude. Can you hear me? Hello? Yes, thank you, Jean-Claude, for introducing the ARC to us, and I think a very honest account of what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. And I think that provides a great input to the conversation that we hope to have with you following. And that's where we have the experience here, very fortunate to have the experience with us here from the World Bank, from Mr. Anupam Joshi, the Senior Environmental Specialist in the World Bank, a trained ecologist, having a wide experience in the field of ecosystem analysis, biodiversity conservation, protected area management, habitat restoration, and impact assessment and evaluation. He holds a PhD from the University of Delhi, and since then has worked with the government of India, civil society, private sector, and with multilateral donor agency since 2007 here with the World Bank. So we're very glad to have you here, and we would be very pleased to hear from your experience on innovative finance mechanism, in particular from the World Bank, and where you see there can be a contribution made and how the efforts of country towards proactive drought management can be supported. Please.
Thank you so much. After two excellent presentations, I'm certainly feeling my task is very challenging. I don't have a presentation, but I would like to share some experiences of the World Bank. Innovative financing can actually can be anything. For a farmer who's facing the brunt of drought, a loan waiver, an agricultural loan waiver by the government could mean an innovative financing. Yes, we know that these loan waivers could have an adverse market impact, but imagine about the farmer who's going through a drought. For him, any kind of help is an innovative financing for that farmer. Innovative financing can vary depending on what you are targeting at and where you are. For example, the money released last week by Government of India to the state governments to the tune of $7 billion for doing afforestation is a way of innovating financing which will help develop resilience to drought, or help by building natural capital could help reducing the intensity of the drought. So if you're targeting drought prevention, this is a very good example of innovative financing. Where does this $7 billion come from? This money was generated by calculating a net primary value of the land when forest land was transferred for non-forest use purposes. A great example of innovative financing in my view. However, if you are talking about dealing while the drought is on, how to manage through drought, then the form of innovative financing could vary. And that's where some experiences that I want to share with you comes in very handy. We have financed a number of projects globally, of course, but I want to share two examples from India where I work primarily. We have under our National Rural Livelihood Mission project created thousands and thousands of self-help group of women, each group comprising of 10 to 15 women members. They contribute from their own economic resources as low as 10 cents a month, 10 cents a week, or $1 or $2 a month, and pool that money together. This corpus grows. Our projects help them in doing good circulation of this money by giving out very low interest loans to the members of that self-help group. And this money is returned. There's a lot of social audit and social pressure. So the default rate in almost over I think about 1 million self-help group, the default rate is less than 1%. So 99% the loans are recovered with interest. This corpus grows with the bank project. They get trainings in doing good governance, accountability mechanisms, etc. And we grade these self-help groups. The ones which are doing very good lending are graded as category A groups. Now we see certainly the Government of India has several schemes to support women self-help groups. And if they are a certified category A group, they can access these financial resources with greater ease. There are a lot of agencies of microcredit which are now lending to these groups. This is a great example of innovative financing. It is their own money now leveraging additional finances. We have assessed the impact of this financing, and for each dollar that the bank loan invested in, we're able to generate $2.6 in return through such models of self-help groups. In India today, we have federated many of these self-help groups to federation level, and about $650 million collected by these women are now in circulation. And this money comes in very useful and very handy at the time when the drought management is to be dealt with. So there are two examples that I gave. One is you are looking for innovative financing models to prevent or reduce the impact of drought, and you're looking for innovative financing models when you are trying to deal with drought, when the drought is on, managing through drought. Skill diversification is another great example of innovative financing, because to deal at the time of a drought, if you are a marginal farmer, which means in India you have less than 1 hectare of land at your disposal, skill diversification at that point in time helps you to earn enough to tide through this stress period. The bank has also financed several such skill development programs, but again, there are a lot of programs from the provincial governments and the central government to do skill diversification. What I'm trying to come up is that innovative financing depends on where you are in this chain or in the cycle of while dealing with drought. We have successfully piloted a convergence model whereby when we went to a village, we prepared micro plans. And the micro plan list includes wish lists of the villagers from sectors like livestock, from sectors like health, for irrigation. Our project was actually on biodiversity conservation. So we decided to finance from the project funds that money which is going to give conservation outcomes. But we prepared the list of other requirements of the villagers for irrigation, for soil management, for livestock. And all the project social mobilizers did was ensured that there are regular meetings with other departments. And because we had a set geography in mind, and when we're talking about drought, we would be able to identify the geography where we need to work and make interventions. With convergence, we were able to raise absolutely fantastic amount of resources to boost the overall economy as well as overall resilience of that village. With a very small amount, like I mentioned, $1 was able to raise up to the tune of $2.6, $2.7. For example, I was told, although I don't work on Terra Africa project, but I'm told that over the last 10 years, Terra Africa has generated about $3 billion in convergence with 26 member countries and about 20 partners involved in it. Again, through convergence, through reaching out to the departments. And all we do in these cases is to create a common vision where every department can see their own stake. And then they are willing to contribute to this. So this is another example of innovative financing. I would even go ahead and say that a bank loan is also an example of innovative financing. If there is a drought, the government needs to provide immediate relief. They have often approached the World Bank in terms of disasters, in terms of droughts. So again, for the farmer who needs support at the time of drought, a bank loan is an innovative financing executed through the government. We are increasingly seeing in other sectors, we have cess, for example, on fossil fuels. We have cess, which our environment minister mentioned the other day, on coal. And these go into an environmental fund, in the Central Environment Fund. Similarly, can we think of innovative ways to put cess on upstream water uses, which can be used and diverted in cases where you need to augment water resources to deal with the droughts? So there would be several such provisions. A number of bonds, green bonds, are being launched almost every month. We also heard a renewable energy bond right here at the plenary of up to the tune of about $1.5 billion that have been generated. IFC, our private sector sister concern of the World Bank Group, has successfully raised with Yes Bank, a commercial bank in India, a $50 million green bond. So I'm sure there are a plethora of instruments that can be looked into, market-based instruments, which my colleague from the ARC alluded to, insurance. And it's very striking. Currently, the Government of India is in dialogue with the World Bank for an agriculture insurance project. Government of India is providing 98% subsidy on premiums to farmers on agriculture insurance loans on a ratio of 50-50. So 50% is put by the state government, 50% is put by the central government of the total premium. Only 2% is to be paid by the farmer. What a great example of innovative financing for the farmer. Yes, there are adverse impacts of mounting subsidies. I'll wind up in a minute. Adverse impacts of mounting subsidies, but again, from where you are in this chain of drought management, depends how you will define your innovative financing. So let me stop here, and I'll be happy to respond to your queries and questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you really for these excellent examples on how some of the approaches can be used to leverage finance, really building ownership of it and trying to use that as a convincing argument, and as well as mentioning the issue of green bonds as another financing instrument that is being explored. I have a lot of questions actually, but I want to give you the floor, the audience, to bring forward some of your points that might be burning with you, and using these opportunities to interact with this illustrious group of people. Yes, I have a question here from the lady in the front, please. Do we have a microphone? Do we have a roving microphone? Sorry, 1 second, please, so that the others can hear you. It's coming. In the front here, please. The lady in the front. In the front here. Thank you.
Hello. You spoke about cess on fuel and coke like that, and you spoke about the cess on water use, right? Can you just elaborate on that? Water use cess?
Yeah, we'll take in a few questions. The gentleman to the right already has a microphone. So
my
please
question
go ahead.
to Mary, that you spoke about remittances. So you mean to say that you are going to put some kind of charge or on that remittances? Just explain that what kind of innovative method you are talking about on the remittances. And question to you, your name is Jian. You showed that there used to be a delay of 3 to 4 months in assessment. That what kind of mechanism you have developed to assess it fast and provide the money to the people? So because in India it is a huge problem that it needs a millions of people to assess the damage, then come out with the amount, then to transfer to their account. But you said that in traditional method it used to take a 3 to 4 months for the assessment. But what kind of mechanism you have developed to assess the damage fast and transfer the money? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There is a question here in the back. If we could pass the microphone there. Please, we'll take 2 more questions and then we give you the chance to respond. So please take note of the questions that are coming in. Here in the back there, please. Okay, we'll go first to the front and then to the back. Yes, please.
Thank
Please
you.
introduce
My
yourself.
question is to Jean-Claude. I would like to know, since we all know because of climate change, the frequency and intensity of droughts is increasing. Do the member states, are they allowed to claim every time there is a drought situation, or there are limits to the number of times in which you can claim, or also to the amount of money that you can claim? And also, do you have any claims that are rejected, or every time they submit, they get their money?
Good. We have one more question, if you could give the lady in the back. And I'm sorry that we're running out of time, literally. But we'll give this one more question, then we give the audience.
Thanks, Frederick. This is a question for Anupam. Anupam, you have given a very good example of the microfinance and microcredit for the drought mechanism. I just wanted to ask you the African example given for this public-private partnership and the blended finance. Is there any scope in the drought management in India that you have come across with such kind of examples of the blended finance, and what are the opportunities coming?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this rich set of questions. I would like to invite our panel to respond to them and at the same time give their closing remarks to it, because unfortunately we're coming to the end of this session and we want to make sure that we end on time.
Start first?
Yes, if you would like to start first, since you were the last ones to speak.
I have a meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay, so cess. So Government of India levies about 3.5 rupees per liter of fuel that you buy, diesel or petrol. which currently goes for infrastructure financing. You know? So this is an example of cess for a specific purpose. What I was saying that can we think of imposing some cess on upstream use of water, say by industries. Industry also pay water charges, but those are mostly user charges. And water intensive industries, can it be considered as an innovative finance, if by which you can charge a fraction of amount and start putting it there. In the same line, you know, the CSR funding today. For those of you who may not be knowing, there's a rule in India that all big industries with a turnover over a certain amount will need to pay 2% of their post-tax profit into corporate social responsibility. And by our estimates, this total amounts to about $3.5 billion per year coming as CSR funding. So can this funding be channelized to build more capacity at the local levels for drought resilience? There's also a cess on coal of about 400 rupees per tons. Blended finance, I personally don't know of an example like that. My view on finance is very simple. The purpose to, your objective of raising funds could be anything, but modalities could also be anything. So I'm sure there could be enough opportunities to do blended finance for drought in India also. However, personally, I'm not aware of an example right now. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. And Jean-Claude, I think there were a number of questions coming to you on some of the limitations and the opportunities that are there for risk transfer instruments that you're developing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start with my gentleman here.
Sure.
So on the slide that I show, the current system of responding to disaster, there is a humanitarian system. So when there is a failure in the rainfall, the humanitarian system starts to assess the situation on the ground. So that assessment may take 3 to 4 months. So with the African Risk Capacity Mechanism, so we work jointly together with the country where we assess on daily basis, every 10 days, on the trends of the rainfall. So once we have observed that there is a little failure of the rainfall, that trigger the payments, so we disperse the money in the next 2-3 weeks, how it works. So coming to the question of Madam, a country can claim when it has gone through the capacity building exercise that we provide to countries. So the risk profiling and also the contingency planning mechanism that we jointly build together. Beyond that, so we agree, if a country wants to transfer to us a risk, a country have to decide the amount of the risk you want to transfer to us. Because the amount of the risk affects also the amount of the premium. So there is a trigger point when, for example, a certain point of droughts, we agree together, the insurance company in the country. So if the drought reach this point, we trigger the payment. So any drought cannot trigger the payment. It depends on the agreement between the insurance company and the country itself. Also the capacity of the country to pay that amount of the risk, drought risk. Yeah.
Great.
That's all.
Thank you, Jean-Claude. Mario, you have the honor to provide your summary remarks and to respond to some of the questions that were raised.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So regarding the remittances, so we are hosting a facility in our division. As it was introduced, I'm new in the organization, so I don't have all the details. But what I saw is, for instance, they're also using a number of ICT and digital tools to facilitate. You know, most of the remittances are often channeled through mobile money and different kinds of financing mechanism. So I know they had innovative approach, I think, in Kenya and in other countries to try to build on that and associate it directly with different financing and credit schemes and so forth. And I saw other initiatives around value chain, but I can look at it more in detail if you are interested, and we can send you more information on that, because indeed remittances in many countries are even much bigger than donors' aid accumulated. So I think it holds a lot of potential to help.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So this brings us to the end of this session on innovative finance mechanisms, and I have the great honor leaving the stage here to introduce to you the Deputy Executive Secretary of the UNCCD, who will deliver the key messages that we've heard throughout the day through this collaborative work that we've started this morning at 10 o'clock that has driven us through the day with many good conversation, with many insights from countries, from parties here, from the UNCCD process, from actors that are ready to support you. So with that, it's on us to leave the stage and give the stage to Pradeep Mongar.